Joe, we desperately need a Windows update.
So then, this is my material of choice. I picked it up from the lumberyard. It is a cheap construction lumber, 5 by 8 centimeters spruce, and I have enough material for the frames and the sashes. So next and first step is obviously to joint one edge and one face and send all of them through the thicknesser.
Joe.
Yep, one edge, one face is done. Now I will change the setup to a thickness planer and bring the stock to final dimensions. Whew, what a boring job. But here they are. They have all the same dimensions. They ended up a little bit smaller than I have planned, but no worries. That's the nature of the beast. Also, I planed the offcuts from the lumberyard to the same dimensions because I need some test pieces. And speaking of test pieces, here is my chicken scratch of what I have in mind. So here is the window frame and here is the window sash. Next step is to cut the rebates here, here, and the rebate for the glass. It is a double glass filled with argon gas. That's standard here in Europe. Okay, so far it was pretty straightforward because they are all the same, but now I have to decide which ones are for the window frames and which one is for the window sash, because the window sash, as I said, gets another rebate for the glass, and the offcuts will come in handy later in the process. You will see. Okay then, rinse and repeat. And here is a quick tip for cutting rebates on the table saw. Always cut your rebate like this, so that your offcut don't get jammed between the fence and the saw blade. Never do it the other way around. I have seen this often on the internet and on YouTube, but don't do it. Do it like this. Okay, so next step is to sand the rebates. These ones here, not the ones for the glass, because it is much easier done now than later when the frames are glued together. Whew, it's late. Let's call it a day. Good morning! Let me show you how it's supposed to work. So here are our parts. Here is the window sash, so the wood for the window sash, and here is the window frame, which is fixed to the wall. And I mocked up here a piece of plastic instead of the seal. So one seal is attached to the sash and one seal is attached to the window frame. There's a little bit of air gap here in between, so the window has some leeway and don't bind up. And as I said, here will sit the glass, an insulating glass, a 2-layer glass, and so it looks promising to me. Next step now is to cut the parts of the actual window frame, these guys here, to the final length and start with the joinery, because the frame defines in the end the measurements I need for the sash, if that makes sense. And I changed my mind a little bit here. Instead of making the whole thing 100 centimeters, I go for 98 centimeters. So I make the complete thing 2 centimeters smaller. And to cut to pieces, I rigged up a stop block here on my miter saw, so that I can cut them all the same length. And now it's just a matter of rinse and repeat. Make one square cut and cut the parts to length. Ooh yeah! Okay, so here comes the fun part, the actual joinery. And as usual with this kind of stuff, I go with a mortise and tenon joint. And there are several ways to do it. I prefer to cut the mortise first on the bandsaw, and after that I cut the tenon on the table saw, which we see later. And here is the way how it works. I set up my fence here to make the first cut, and a stop block here to determine the depth of the cut. And I will make the 2 cuts and nibble out the material in between the 2 cuts. It is a bit of a hodgepodge to do it that way, but yeah, for 5 windows it is These cuts are all done now on all the pieces, and now I will reset my fence to make the other cuts. Now I have made all my cuts here, and next is to keep my stop block in place and remove the fence and nibble out the material here. I know what you are saying. This is not the most professional way to do it, but to be honest guys, I was too lazy to set up my table saw to do that. All my stiles are cut, or should I say all my mortises. But guys, I screwed up at least a little bit. In all my diligence, I cut all of them with the bandsaw, which is of course totally wrong, because now the tenon will have not enough meat on the bone to fit perfectly, exactly 2 times the saw curve. I mean, it's no big deal. I can cut some shims with my table saw and shim the joint when it's time to glue the frames together. But this tells me something. Such repetitive works like building windows are prone to error, so be aware, always think twice, don't make the same dumb mistake than I did. Okay, next up, setting free the tenons and cutting some shims to make them fit into the mortises. Okay, I think it's not that bad actually. I mean, they are quite loose, but I think I can get away with just using a ton of polyurethane glue and glue them together without using shims. Yeah, so next step is to glue the 5 frames together with polyurethane glue. It is actually a construction adhesive, so it is waterproof, fully waterproof, and it foams up, so in this case it will help a lot to close the gaps here. Whew, you need to work fast with this kind of stuff, that's for sure. But as you see, it is already swelling up and closing all the gaps. And yeah, the first one went well. 4 more to go. All right. All 5 of them are glued up. It's time for a coffee break. So here we are, and since I ran out of daylight, I did not film the process, but I did a little cleanup with my orbital sander, and here they are. And yeah, they look not too shabby, better than expected. Good morning, it is day number 3 on the window build. The frames, as we have seen, are glued together and yeah, basically finished so far. Next step is to make the joinery for the window sashes. These pieces of wood here, and these cuts are even more complicated than the other cuts. And yeah, fun fact, I found something on my shelves. It is a mortise and tenon jig for my old table saw. I very rarely used this jig because, as I said, I don't build a lot of windows. And on this jig, you see the runner is here, and basically all I have to do is remove this runner and put a new runner on this side, and hopefully I can use this thing to cut the mortise and tenon joints on the other pieces of wood, because this guys would make the work so much easier. And here is the next step. Cutting the pieces of wood for the sashes to their final length, and I'm aiming for roughly 5 millimeters of air gap or leeway in here, and here the same. So I need to cut all of my pieces here to the length to the overall length from here to here, if that makes sense. So guys, I don't want to bore you again watching me cutting all these pieces of wood here to the right length with my chop saw here. I will do it off camera and I will be back in a jiffy. So here is how this trick works. First you set your table saw blade height to whatever height you need. Here. And then you can set the width of your cut with these jam nuts here. So you have a positive stop on the one side and a positive stop on the other side. That's what determines here. I hope you can see that. Yeah. How far you cut, your left cut and your right cut, and of course you can hog out all the material in between. The wood is firmly clamped here. Yep. Let's give it a go. Welcome to Larifari Window Factory. I have to say I'm getting the hang of it now that it is finished, and thankfully this thing was very useful. It is so sad that this thing had been laying dormant for almost a decade now, since I built it for my other table saw. But yeah, nice to have. Okay, so the parts for the sashes are done. Again, glue up. Good morning! So that's the progress so far. As you see off camera, I gave all of the sashes a rough sanding with 80 grit sandpaper just to get the mortise and tenons flush and get rid of the glue, squeeze out. So that's what they look so far. Here is one sash in its frame. It fits perfectly with our leeway as expected. That's a success. Next step is to take care of the wood defects and some apprentice marks, and I want to have a round over here and on the window frame as well. So next up, wood defects and round overs. I put too much solvent into my putty. Roundovers. And here is a quick tip when routing something like this. Always start your first cut with an end grain cut, then you will end up with your last cut, which will be a long grain cut, and you will have no tear out. Ooh, what a mess. Thankfully I have a shop ventilation to catch the fine airborne dust. Okay, so next up, sanding, which I will do outdoors. Sure. Oh yeah, so that's what they look like after sanding with 120 grit sandpaper. This is going to work. So all of them are sanded, and it took me 4 hours to do that. Next step is to give them the first coat of weather protection. And for weather protection I will use this stuff here, and this is not sponsored by any way, so I bought this by my own, and it is pretty expensive, but I know it works good. So I will give all the windows 2 or 3 coats of this stuff. It is in this case a clear glazing, and I have to take care of the hardware, of course. And speaking of hardware, some of you may have noticed already that there is something peculiar about these windows, and yes, you are right. These windows are meant to open from the inside out, so basically the wrong way around. That's why the glass is on this side of the sash. The problem here is I need to be able to hang the window sash once the frame is installed, fixed to the wall. That could be a little bit tricky because as usual I want to use a simple hinge solution here. Okay, I think I will figure something out along the way. Also, when it comes to locking the window, it will be also a very simple solution, because guys, it is what it is. It's an old chicken farm. It is an unheated hall here, and I don't need to go overboard with these windows. So anyway, full steam ahead. Next step, painting them. And here is a quick tip for painting. It also works on furniture projects. Put in some big screws or even nails into hidden spots, and you can apply your paint, lacquer or whatever onto both sides at once, and put them aside like so. There you have it. 3 coats of weather protection with a light sanding in between. So that's done. Next up, window seals. And as a material for the window seals, I use this stuff here. It is a self-adhesive polyurethane foam. It is used by the roofers here in Austria. It has a very aggressive adhesive backing here, and it's basically more or less like your usual weather stripping, but with a better adhesive. And I will cut it to size and put one strip here on the window sash and one strip here on the window frame, so I will have 2 layers of seals.
Oh man, once you get this stuff onto a surface by accident, you are screwed.
Putting this sticky stuff on was quite entertaining, let's say the least, but it is worth it. It looks promising. So next step is to take a look what kind of hinges I have on stock and put hinges on. Stainless drawer handles, which I got for free some years ago. They could come in handy, but I don't want to drill all the way through. I don't like it to have so many holes in the window sash. Instead, I want to simply glue them in with construction adhesive. And here is my plan on how to fit them without falling out of the window. I have 2 handles on the window sash to have a good firm grip, and I have threaded rods here on the hinges, and the threaded rods, they pass through the actual window frame, and hopefully I can mount the window sashes in this way. Do you remember the cut-offs from the beginning of the video? Finally, the glass has been delivered. Now I can bring the project to an end. And just in case you don't know, this is European style insulating glass. It has one outside layer which has a UV protection, UV protective coating, and one inside glass layer, 4mm outside, 4mm inside. See here, Innenseite means this is the inside. This is without UV protection, and 12mm aluminium frame. So all in all 20mm. It is completely sealed with a kind of silicone, and it is filled with argon gas. Okay, so next step is to clean the glass firmly and put it into my window sashes, and I hope they will fit. Perfect. The glass is mounted firmly in place with these wooden strips here, and I will eventually go over with transparent silicone caulking, which I don't have on stock at the moment. Yeah, so one done, 4 more to go. Good morning! Breakfast in the workshop. Gentlemen, the job is done. The windows are finished. It took me about 55 hours, including the montage of the 5 windows, to get to this point. But I'm very satisfied. The result is exactly what I wanted to have. Simple but effective windows with insulating glass, 2 seals.
Joe.
And of course a very simple hardware solution to close the windows. As I said, it is just a workshop, and for this purpose the windows work fine. No complaints about that. So the video is the longest video which I ever made for YouTube. If you liked the video, give me a like, give me a thumbs up if you want. Subscribe to my channel, and if you can afford, become a Patreon under patreon.com/larifari, or visit me or contact me if you want to on instagram.com/larifari-youtube. Okay, so far not much to say about workshop windows. They are finished, and have a nice day.